Welcome back, beautiful Super Soul Sisters, and today we're going to talk about root trees. Now, root trees are something that there's a few variants of it, and it kind of really depends on the person as to the type of root tree that you're going to consciously now be aware of that perhaps you weren't aware of before, and also to choose, which ones that you actually want to sort of develop. One of the things that I like to liken this to is your level of emotional resilience in a situation. It's like, how connected to the core center of earth are you with your roots, so that it makes you unshakable in the instance of life throwing you a curveball that you just weren't expecting. And it's like, how resilient can you be? If you've got really lightweight roots, it's not going to take much to push that tree over, is it? So this is why I think, a lot of people think that, oh, well, I'll just deal with it when it actually comes to it. And I don't need to really worry about making the effort to get my roots to go deep. And quite often, dare I say, there is a huge ownership these days on expecting other people to fix our problems. There is a whole thing about like, it's going back to the AA stuff, they always say, you have to be accountable for your own actions. That one finger out, three pointing back. That's in the case of like accusing somebody or something. But really, when it comes to the ownership of, we are where we are today because of what we have or have not done. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not somebody else's responsibility to actually change that. It's down to us. And I would love to have it where people are less expectant of something outside of them to change, or expecting something or someone to provide a solution, a silver bullet, or whatever it is, in order to be resilient. My whole thing is, let's grow those roots so deep that, like I was saying about the lighthouse shoes, if you can get all of this learning that I'm giving you for free, on board, if you actually take these little steps in these shoes that I'm suggesting every single day, do the little exercises, get the emotional toolkit that, it's not expensive to buy, but it's something that will carry you and the people that you care about in life to a whole new level, on a whole new playing field. Because instead of life happening to you, you happen to life. You take charge, you have it the way that you want, you create what you want in your world. If something comes up that you don't like, you're so together that you know that you don't want those pair of shoes, that you going on your own path, and you go, no, I don't want that doesn't work for me, and you can weigh it up. You're consciously aware, as opposed to being reactive, as opposed to having something thrown at you and you go, oh, I don't know, and being out of control. So where I'd love to have it is that, by growing these, having good, deep-seated, rooted shoes on will give you that ability to be strong in the storm. Now, there's a few things that, again, I like to call them morphing shoes, because sometimes you have to change the shoes to fit the environment of whatever's going on. So I did a little research, and I thought, like the root systems of trees is actually just quite incredible. I've got an amazing friend. She's really into all her natural botany and stuff, and she actually follows me on YouTube, and this is kind of where I got the idea anyway, but it was already in my head from having talked about bamboo being flexible, so that when the storm comes, you go with the wind and you can move. Whereas if you're rigid, like the Japanese and the Chinese talk about, if you're a rigid oak tree and a wind comes, that's gale force, it'll snap the branches, whereas the bamboo is very flexible. So in that case, you do need to have that ability to shift, to move, to be. So maybe you slip on your bamboo shoes when a storm hits that you weren't expecting, and the roots actually of bamboo are very shallow. They're not very deep at all, which is quite a marvel when you think that they can handle those extreme kind of weather conditions. especially wind. You'd think they would just blow them over, but they're quite networked. And this is one of the things that I picked up with my friend. Like, she was saying that she's doing this course, and she was saying how everything, you know, there's this huge networked root system between trees that, do you know what? I've never thought about that. You know, at the time I was like, oh, really? Is that? How fascinating, you know? Like, I love I love trees. I love nature. And it just gets my goat something chronic when I see people chopping things down when there's beautiful trees being there forever and a day. I went on a walk around the lake the other day, and they've chopped down 3 huge, beautiful trees that have been there for years. And I now see that it's so that this new fancy house can have a beautiful view of the lake. Now, love that they want to have a beautiful view of the lake, but at the sacrifice of trees that have probably been there hundreds of years. Not really ideal. And, you know, like the council argue, oh, well, you know, they were a danger. They're going to fall over some stage. Well, if you actually looked at the lean of the trees, they would have fallen into the lake just by virtue of their positioning. The chances of them falling, and the house is actually really far set back, so there's no way that it would have actually fallen, you know, maybe trimming it down a little bit, but actually just sawing it right down just so that they can get fancy views. You know, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent there, but yes, it does bother me. And I just sort of think, you know, at what cost? You know, we've got a lot of answering to do really as humans, and not taking responsibility and making lame excuses, or using an excuse that it's in the benefit of, you know, there's the black swan. The black swan in that particular situation is obviously that these guys had enough money to pay for them to get chopped down, in my opinion. I mean, maybe that's not the case and it just happened to be coincidental. Who knows? There is always that possibility, right? Anyway, moving swiftly on. So bamboo shoes are really important. If you have got a challenge that has been thrown at you, a total curveball that you just didn't see coming, you've got to get your flexibility shoes on. If you stay rigid, you will get taken out. It's just a matter of time. And I have seen this happen so many times. Like I've said, you know, it's one of the founding pillars of NLP is that ye who is most flexible will determine the outcome. And, you know, if you don't dodge those curveballs, if you stand there and you can see the ball coming, you know, maybe it's a golf ball, or I don't know, it's something really hard, you know. I'm thinking of a 10-pin ball, but it's not likely that someone's going to be throwing that, right? But anyway, you get my point of view. If that sucker hits you in the head, you're going to know about it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you got to dodge, you know, you got to move. You've got to go, right, I'm going to catch it this way, or I'm not going to catch it, or, you know, and then you might warn others that it's coming their way too. So I was actually on a walk, and I took photos, put it in the Facebook group the other day. Stunning walk that day around a golf course, and the guys, it combines with a golf course, that walk, and the guys shouted fall as I was walking. I didn't see them, you know, playing, so of course I went right down onto the beach and watch them all, you know, hit the ball. One was particularly bad, but you know, in that instance, like if I had not been aware of that, and I just, you know, or I saw it coming to me and it was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't get out the way, I would have been hit, man. So it's like using that common sense, but yet I don't know why they call it common sense. It's probably the most uncommon thing that I know. It's very common. It's not the right word for it. It's not the right adjective, in my humble opinion, because it's like, you know, it's so uncommon to find someone, you know, using their sense in situations where you're like, wow, is that not obvious to you? You know, like, do we actually have to explain? And obviously we do, and sometimes, you know, that just is how it is, you know. So one of the things, you know, I've spoken about the bamboo roots having quite a networked sort of root system, but what I wanted to talk about today is the deepest root system that you possibly can get. And this is where you are so grounded in yourself. Like I liken it to when you're connected to source energy, God, source, whatever you want to label it. This is a purely label thing for you. It's got nothing to do with religion or, you know, spirituality. It's an energetic force that you can call it whatever you like. And in my world, like when you are connected to the source, that's part of your big tree, you know, that is growing out. If you have that channel down and you are then I like to look at it as so rooted all the way to the center of the earth. I mean, how solid is that? Like you're really a vessel. You're like the trunk, if you like, of how this energetic, it's almost like an energetic pathway that operates within the body, and then you grow out, and how you affect and how you blossom in life is what all these little steps are about. It's like, oh, there's another branch that I could go down, or that's another flower that I could have, or that's some fruit that I could go. And it's like, it's your tree, it's unique, it's different, but it's connected to source, and it's also connected to earth. And how deep are your roots? If you're so affected by what's out there, and something comes along, a wind, or an event, or a crisis in a relationship, or it's a health crisis, whatever it is, and it comes along, it's not going to take much to blow that tree over. So I want to have it where people get their roots so deep that it's like you become so unshakable. Now, one of the trees that I found has the deepest root systems is a wild fig tree, and it's actually found in now I have to spell the name, Mpumalanga, Mpumalanga. Okay, that's in South Africa. Okay, and it's called the Eco Caves, and their root systems go down like I think it's 400 feet. I mean, it's really deep, and it was fascinating reading about that. I will provide the links so that you can go and have a little read if you're interested. But I found it quite fascinating. The roots actually secrete a slime that sort of breaks up the rock and the soil, so that it can go down, and while it's looking for water, it's looking for ground wells and groundwater. And it's this whole network of root systems that find their way, like MacGyver, and like, I suppose it's the white rabbit to a degree, because like the white rabbit would be, we've actually found the water, right? And it goes all the way down into this ground system, 400 feet. Man, that's a lot. I don't even know what that is in meters. Sorry, I'm guessing 120, 170. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, you can look it up. But effectively, the point is that little, that looks like a, well, it's not that little, the fig tree, but that tree has this unbelievable network of roots that go all the way down in order to survive, and then like, it's so solid, to be able to winds. I mean, even in the Kalahari desert, when it's really, really hot, it's got to find, in those extreme scenarios, you've got to find that kind of water in order to be able to survive. So it's finding a way, isn't it? It's that whole, thinking outside the square. It's like those MacGyver things. It's the MacGyver of the tree root world, I guess. Oh boy, I'm going off on a tangent here, people. Right, but there goes my mind. Sorry, I'll try and stay on track. And I just love the fact that, it creates that sort of stability that we all need in life. And if we can teach that as well to our kids and to the future generations, I mean, how empowering is that to go, oh yeah, like, I'm so together that it really doesn't take very much to rattle me, or nothing rattles me, or if it does, then I know how to manage it. I mean, how friggin' awesome is that? Now, the other thing that I love as well about the tree root system, going back to like that friend of mine, was the quaking aspen, and that is actually that's found in Utah, and it's got the largest root system ever in the world. Apparently, it's got 106 acres, people, 106 acres of root systems, and it connects up with all sorts of other, all the other aspens. And I'll see if I can post a photo as well, but you'll have to, guys, I can't do the photo obviously in YouTube, but I will be able to do that obviously in Facebook. So if you're not a member of Facebook, hop on over to the Vicki Jane group. It's free to join, it doesn't cost anything, and it's great because you have a network of you know, community members on you know, who are very like-minded, just like you, who, you know, are all looking to go in the same direction and supportive and there to help. And this is what I love about it, is that like one tree can generate all these multiple trees. Like it just seems to grow this root system, and then another one will grow, and then they've also got these caplets, I think they call them, that are succeeding, and they, you know, they take off and then they join up into the network when they blow off and they seed themselves, and away they go. So they have this multiple meshed, it's almost like a city village of trees underground. I mean, I find that absolutely amazing. My friend always talks about rhythm. She might be able to make some comments here. She's not you know, on Facebook, but maybe in the comments box. You'll know who you are, you know. Lovely lady, if you'd comment and give some insight maybe on this, that would be great. But it's this whole nurturing and network system, and that's the other thing that I really want. It's like this, an analogy of our lives, of us being connected together in a deeper sense, not on that superficial, you know, looking good sense, just what's above the ground, what looks good. You know, we've got that as well, but do we want to have that, you know, so that it's developed for the benefit and approval of others? Like the Indians have a banyan tree, B-A-N-Y-A-N, and you know, that's a very sacred tree over there. And that one was interesting as well. That the oldest banyan tree is still there, I understand, and it grew, it dates back to 1787, which is unbelievable, and it's got a coverage area of 3 acres. 3 acres of land. I mean, if that's not making a flippin' statement, I don't know what is, right? And I would love to have a whole bunch of them trees, like for each of us, like metaphorically. Like it's like, you know, you grow so big and so beautiful with so much impact on the world. It's like people marvel. They just look at it and go, OMG, wow. You know, like that is just absolutely incredible. Like I would, you know, love to be that tree, you know. Where you've got the roots of the deep fig, that you've got the network of the aspen, that you know, you'll just, and that like if life, you know, throws you a massive curveball, no matter what it is, that you've implemented all these tools and techniques and these, you know, done all the exercises and everything that I'm suggesting, every little step, every single day, that will turn you into this amazing presence out there that, you know, if it doesn't matter, and if something comes along that you don't expect, you can morph into the bamboo where you can be flexible, but you're still networked with all the other guys, you know. So it's kind of, it's a beautiful sort of picture of how it could be. And congratulations for being here, listening to this and going, do you know what, I've never thought about that. You know, I'm always trying to put all these baubles on my tree and tinsel to get some bling happening so that people get attention. Do you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not doing that anymore. I'm done with that, you know. And you know, my roots are quite deep. Like there's heart roots, which I love the name, which is the deep centered one, I understand, that goes out. So you've got these deep roots, you've got lateral roots, and you know, there's a photo that's coming up in my mind where, you know, there was a tree and it's obviously been planted in a city area, and it's actually followed the cracks of the pavement in a perfect square. You like, it literally goes up and down, and it's amazing, and it survives. It finds the way, it breaks up the rock, it finds the water, it finds the stability where it needs to find the stability. And the fact that we could be networked as well, it's like, are you a bamboo tree? You know, bamboo, you know, the golden bamboo, have you ever thought about it? Like, it's like, well, do you know what, I could really be adopting a pair of bamboo shoes because I'm really not that flexible, you know. So you might want to go, yeah, I'll pop one of those babies on. And I like the idea that it's more network, but on a deeper level. Well, if you want to go deep, come over to the Facebook group if you're not already in it, okay? If you're in the Facebook group, thank you very much. Let's keep the network going. Let's reach out. Let's actually talk more to the other members. Let's make an effort, like reach out and go, hi, I noticed that you are interested in, saying whatever it is. It might be exercise shoes. It might be that, you're in town and you happen to be going to a conference or whatever, and, maybe you'd like to meet up for a tea. I want to have those deep, entrenched, deep networked kind of relationships on a much deeper level. No more, I'm over all this shallow nonsense. All that BS, oh my God. It's like, let's get real, people. This is who I am, take it or leave it. I've got a big, beautiful banyan tree. I don't know whether you like it or not. If you don't, then that's really not my problem. I am going to talk about that actually in another video. Where our roots are so deeply networked that even if something really full on happens, we're so networked, we're so tight on a really deep level that we can go, do you know what, it's okay, we've got this, because life does happen, and it's a lot easier when you've got the support of more than one person in your life, ideally several, who are all singing from the same song sheet, who are all walking on the same path, who are all going, right, we're not okay with this, or we've been through that kind of tragedy before, and this is what I learned, and I'm there. And even if you haven't been through any of it, it's just like, how can I help you, mate? How can I help you, sister? This is what I'm here for. So let's be those truly connected to source kind of tree. That I've got an image of the tree of life, that they call it, metaphorically speaking, and it's golden and it's like circular, and it's all that connected to source energy. It's helping you blossom and grow into this beautiful tree with roots that go really deep into the center of the earth, but it's connected to the universe. So it all comes from the center. We are the tree trunks, the feet and everything are grounded to the ground, that has the energy that connects us into our invisible network of roots that go out to all these other beautiful super soul sisters. And look, I mean, it's not limited to ladies, this can be guys as well, so you're very welcome. It's more about soul growth for me. So as much as it is SOLE, soul, super soul sisters, or super soul path that we're talking about, your shoes, your path, your way, it's having a soul within the soul, not just having so SOUL inside the SOLE, souled shoe. I'm really wanting soul walkers, soul warriors, soul sisters, soul brothers, if they can, whoever. I don't really mind, but I just want to have it where we're changing the focus. We're shifting the bar from that shallow world of, dare I say, it's so shallow that it causes so much disruption, so much discord, so much fragmentation, and mental and emotional ill health as a result. That's what I see all the time, and quite often physical as well, because we're so busy trying to deal with life, and then on a superficial level socially, and even on a familial basis sometimes, dare I say it, we're so swept away in this crazy current of superficiality that it's like, well, the rivers aren't running very deep, the roots aren't running very deep. So let's dump all of that, and if you're game, hop on over and join me, will you? I'm really keen for that. So let me know, you give me an idea. Can you have a think about what shoes you do have? Which ones appeal to you? Which ones do you know that you want to have more? Maybe it's the fig tree ones where the roots go deeper, and how can I nurture that, and how can I grow that? So just go hashtag deep, hashtag wild fig tree. Maybe it's hashtag bamboo if you need to be more flexible. Maybe it's the hashtag aspen, quaking aspen or quaking aspen, for it being more networked, so we can see you know, start going, oh, all the people who are wanting the similar thing can find each other and start talking in the Facebook group as well. So hop on over if you're not already there. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. I found it really fascinating doing some of that research, and that's just the superficial stuff. I'm sure there's a whole lot more that you know, we could find out, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Hey, you have a lovely day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, lots of love, everybody. Namaste.